Hi there. So many women come to me and they ask me what they should be looking for with regards to a coach. And they're kind of sussing me out. And because I coach women, and I coach women in a fairly generic way, but also a trauma-informed way. So these women come to me and they say, well, what should I actually be looking for? And there's a number of criteria that I believe are pretty important when you're going to seek out a coach. Not everyone will agree with me, but I'm giving you my views and I'm giving you my impressions. So first off, I'm going to want to know about their physical program. And I want to know about their health. I want to know about how they eat. I want to know about how they conduct themselves physically. I want to know if they have a morning program or a program that keeps them active, or whether they do like incorporated physical, an incorporated kind of physical program that's woven into their daily life, whether it's farming or some kind of physical activity that's going to keep them in a fairly healthy frame of mind and frame of body. So that's something that I look for and I suggest to women. What is the coach like physically? Are they, I'm sorry, but, if you're wanting someone to take you through healing and they're not actually able to adequately heal themselves, then there's an issue with their self-healing capacity, which will impinge upon and impact, in my view, their capacity to help you self-heal. So that's just one of the things that kind of happens in my view, and I've seen it. And so what's the coach like physically? The other thing I want to know about and have a bit of a look at is, what is the coach like emotionally? Is the coach fairly stable in their emotions? Do they have high and low fluctuations that would indicate a degree of irresolution with regards to their own issues? So if that's still happening, if they're fluctuating with massive highs and lows, then that might be an indicator that things aren't too great. And maybe they're not going to have the skills. But in saying that also, everyone does go through these undulations and fluctuations, which are quite normal. So having a coach who's perfect all the time can be a bit of an indicator as well. So someone is kind of, they're human. They're basically human. They have issues themselves. They have a real life. So, and it mightn't be a perfect life. It could be a really good life, but you kind of want a few cracks as well. And I think that's really important because, it means that you get an understanding of the coach as this kind of wounded healer or wounded, a wounded healer, basically. I can't think of a better expression. And that's a very beautiful kind of place to be in. The wounded healer has often a great deal of humility as well. And that's because they've worked through their issues themselves and they're very aware of kind of what their main issues are. So you look for someone who has that capacity for strengths emotionally, but also is fairly even-keeled and also has a kind of deep sense of themselves and the work that they've done on themselves. The other thing that I'm interested to look at with regards to a good coach is their intellectual capacity. And I think, and I'm not talking about letters after a name. I'm not saying that someone has to have letters after their name. What I'm saying is, are they an autodidact? So by that, I mean, do they continue to self-educate on a daily and weekly basis with regards to coaching, with regards to healing modalities, with regards to their interests, with regards to the world at large? So with regards to technology, do they keep abreast of things on a microcosmic level, which is internally and in a kind of like a tiny little minutiae level, and also externally on a global level? And you want to get a sense that the coach that you're working with has a kind of broad capacity to be able to do that. I really firmly believe that. You want to be with someone who's going to continually introduce you to material that's fresh, that's new, and that's also stable. So you don't want to throw away all the old information. We want to have someone who understands the traditions of kind of intellectual knowledge within our culture and other cultures, but also has a kind of a thirst for knowledge that is contemporary and fresh and new. So that's really important as well. What else would I be looking for in a coach? What is their sense of kind of what is their sense of spirituality? What kind of spiritual life do they have? So do they practice any kind of meditation? Do they have any kind of body work meditation stuff that they're doing? Do they are they well aware of various trauma-informed spiritual modalities that are very useful for women with trauma? If you're looking for a trauma coach or something, these are all vitally important, really, really important, because if you're seeking out a coach and you want to get the best for yourself, you want to know that whoever you're working with has that ability to guide you in the right direction, again, with various kind of processes and various practices that you can incorporate into your own healing journey in your own life. So what else? So kind of thinking about what else I would be looking for in a coach. I suppose one of the greatest things is, and this isn't often kind of talked about, and it may not be so important with regards to kind of standard generic coaching as it is with trauma-informed coaching, but it is really important with trauma-informed coaching. You want someone who has an integrated approach. So by that I mean that they understand all the current stuff that's happening and all the current information that's out there, and they also know how to bring that together in an integrated approach that can serve you best. So they're going to be doing that, and they're going to be aware of, you know, all the various modalities that are out there at the moment, and that are out there historically, and they're going to be able to help you to self-heal, and they're going to be facilitators of your self-healing, and you're going to work closely with them in a practical sense, not just a kind of passive sense. But the other thing that you really, really need to be aware of is that you want a coach who has a strong and vibrant and very, very clear and centered witnessing capacity. And that's really important. And if that ain't there, run a mile, because witnessing is one of the most important relational aspects of coaching. It really is. And some people might disagree with me there, but particularly with kind of integrated trauma-informed coaching and life coaching, you know, having a really great witnessing capability is, in my view, essential. And a good witnessing capacity usually means that there's a degree of humility, and from what I can gather, usually the coach will usually have their own coach as well. So they will be working with someone as well, which keeps them humble, a bit in the same way that a psychologist might have supervision. So there's this kind of sense that there is a kind of process or a framework that keeps people real, objective, and humble. Now, witnessing is really important. And I'll tell you what, I've seen some pretty egotistical and rabid witness absent coaches around. You know, the idea that it's all about rah and telling everyone what to do all the time and this kind of stuff. That's a component of it, because there is a practical aspect to coaching, but witnessing is a far deeper kind of process than that. And if you want to find out more about that, you can contact me and ask me about it, and ask me how that works within the kind of coaching processes that I do and I use with women, so that they can heal adequately. So that's really, really vitally important. And I think that it's something that's not often talked about, and it's not often understood. The other thing that I'd be really wary of with regards to seeking out a coach is watch out for a coach who's really kind of ego-driven. Sure, coaches have to advertise, and there's a marketing component and there's a business component to it. But when you have someone who's not presenting in a way that shows a degree of kind of collaboration as opposed to autonomy, I want to be a little bit careful. The whole notion of coaching is very much about someone who's done a bit more of the journey, who's walking in front of you, but who turns around frequently and meets you eye to eye in a way that's very empathic and very real and very guiding. And if you've got a kind of situation where you've got a coaching being informed by a therapeutic kind of dyadic model, and what by that I mean a hierarchy where there's a power imbalance, that's the opposite of what brings out the best in someone. If you've got that really extremely, like a little bit of that might be required sometimes, but if you've got that extremely and you've got someone who's ego and pumping themselves up all the time, I kind of would be a little bit aware. So you want to be able to feel, you can feel that. You can feel a little bit of sincerity from someone. You can feel it in how they are and how they conduct themselves, or, you know, whether they're sincere about what they're doing or whether it's all just a kind of a coaching show. And you want to have it kind of so it's kind of got a reality base to it that's that shows depth and shows wisdom and shows maturity and shows kindness and shows compassion and shows tough love as well, but shows a really beautiful manifestation of what it is to be human and what it is to help someone in a way that's ethical and values driven, and that's born out of a kind of pretty good foundation of care. And if it's really driven and that's kind of lacking, or if it seems a bit too ruthless or something, for me, that's not the way that it works well. I prefer someone who's grounded with a bit of wisdom and a kind of bit of ethics and a deep-seated care that isn't just all about themselves and stuff. So there's some of my kind of criteria that I'd be looking for. What else? How productive are they in their lives? So what's the measure of their own life looking like? Are they coaching, but they're actually not really doing much in their lives? Because one of the things about coaching is it's very much about helping a lot of, in the work that I do, a lot of women to kind of increase their capacity for energy and unblocking trauma. And when you do that, you find that you actually develop greater sustenance and greater ability to produce and create in your life. And if you're still blocked in ways because of a blocked kind of traumatic response, what happens is your energy levels go down and stuff. So you want to be actually looking at the productivity levels of your coach and whether they're fairly highly actualized in those ways. How much do they get done in a day? How prevalent are they? What is the quality of their life like? What kind of balance is there in their life? You know, and it's like, for instance, if I'm going to kind of go and seek coaching for my parenting skills or something as part of my trauma-informed coaching stuff, I'm going to actually want someone who's a parent. So are they a parent? So look for someone who's actually been through some of the stuff that you've been through. So this is really, really important as well. And that brings me to the final kind of quality that I think is really important, more important than letters after a name, than anything else really, aside from that kind of witnessing stuff. And it's like, what is their lived experience like? What kind of life have they had? And have they traveled a broad gamut of experience? So you might find someone who's a life coach who's had a very singular kind of a singular life, just kind of, maybe they're an athletic coach and they just work in one area. Well, that's great for that one area, but you want to get a sense of the breadth and the length of experience that a coach has, the quality of their life, and how their life expresses itself on a daily basis. So are they doing a physical program? Do they eat well? How is their physical shape? How is their emotional shape and emotional well-being? What's their intellectual and academic capacity like? What is the capacity for witnessing and empathic relating that moves beyond the therapeutic dyad where there's a hierarchy? This is all really great, important stuff. And the other thing to be looking for as well, of course, is what is the level of lived experience that a coach has? And, I just feel so strongly about this because Coaching is about moving it beyond and out of textbooks and moving it into praxis. So where you have ideas to action in a way that's going to enable you to manifest the very best quality of life that you can, or simply the kind of life that you want. So how can you improve that? And someone who has a broad experience of life and all that life has to offer, from tragedy and difficulty and struggle through to success and through to fairly hallmarked successes, that's, for me, the kind of person to look out for. And in saying that, I don't believe there's many around. There's a lot of people who've gone part of the journey, but are seized up because of blocks in their own processes and stuff. And lastly, watch out for the egotistical coach, because the egotistical coach, unfortunately, is the one who's got all the answers for you with everything, doesn't call in any other kind of input or advice from anyone else, always knows that what they're doing is better than everyone else's and best. And in fact, you know, this kind of world is very, very much about what matches and what meets with you personally. So, you know, I can be a coach to someone and it's an absolutely fantastic relationship, and someone refers a friend to me, and it may not be suitable, and it is no reflection on that particular woman or on me. What it is that the kind of witnessing or the kind of empathic response that's needed, or the kind of clicking that needs to happen isn't working. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just the way of the world. And when one is securing oneself, that becomes a reality that we're not frightened of. It becomes a kind of an experiential kind of process that you go through and that you resolve and you feel okay about, to let someone go or to not choose someone to coach you. So have a think about that as well. Watch the ego coach, the one who's playing God. There's a ton of them out there, and you know, and it does concern me, actually, because I think that when we coach women, particularly doing trauma-informed coaching, we're really working with women at a very profound healing level and a very deep level, and it requires a lot of compassion, and it requires someone who's done the work on themselves. So it doesn't mean they're perfect, because they will no doubt be on their own healing and you know, developmental journey. But it means that they're keeping that ego in check in a way that means that that they're just bloody real. You know, they're just a little bit real. And you know, I would suggest you look for someone who fulfills those criteria and is very real and very compassionate and able to hold you to account when is needed, if that's what you kind of realize you need. Most people who go for coaching actually realize that they need that accountability factor as well. So on that note, I will say goodbye. Have a great day and look after yourselves. Take care. And if you're looking for a great coach, you can always contact me and see if we're a good fit and see if it will work out. You know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but be open to the possibility that I might be someone who's suitable for you. So see you later. Have a great day. Bye for now.